Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name's Preston. Today we are reviewing the cards that were released on Twitter this week for the upcoming starter decks, and it should be a pretty quick one, as you'll find out shortly. There was a lot of stuff that we already know about at the tail end of the week. So let's get into our first card here. Sangoro, purple character, 5 cost, 6k power, straw hat crew, 1k counter. When attacking, once per turn, if you have 8 or more Dawn, draw a card. So first idea, I always say this about cards that draw. I like cards that draw. It can't be that bad of a thing. But again, this Wano archetype for straw hat crew just is so annoying. I hate that all of them have to have 8 or more Dawn, which makes their cost and the benefit to playing them on curve really bad. And this does fall within the range of the Luffy that came out, I think, last week, where you could cheese at the Sangoro, but it's just sucks that it has that restriction. And I know that it's supposed to be used in the purple Luffys that ramp, and you can get to 8 quickly, but it still does not feel good. The concept of all of these cards still feels bad. But in game, being able to draw a card, because you know you're going to get to 8 Dawn at some point, and it's going to happen maybe half a turn early, maybe a full turn earlier than your opponent. Being able to draw a card once per turn is great. Secondary issue, this is on an attack effect. It's not an on-play effect. That means it has to live long enough to make an attack, and then you get to draw a card. So if your opponent doesn't want you to draw this card off of this attack, they kill it on their turn and you lose a value of 5. So we've said this in the past, on attacks are sometimes too slow for a big effect. This might be slow enough where your opponent might not care and they'll go after another high value card on the field, and you might get this off once. It does have 6k power, so it's a little sticky when it comes to like power, especially if you're playing it neat, like if you're ramping enough to play it on curve and all that stuff. There is some chance this card gets played. But it's so rough to see these cards come out and they have potential, and then they put that Dawn time, that 8 Dawn requirement on their effect, which makes them suck. So let's move on to the next card. Monkey D. Garp, black character, 3 cost, 4k power, navy, 1k counter, blocker. Activate main once per turn. Place 1 card from your trash to the bottom of your deck. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus cost for the turn. I feel like in black you probably have better options than this card. It does have blocker, it does have counter, so it does have playability, but I just feel like you have cards that do bigger minuses at a better like activation speed and stuff like that. So I don't see this card moving very much, unless there's a reason. Like I can't see a reason for this card to be relevant, just because I feel like the navy stuff that black decks do play are very concentrated. So I don't see a reason that you would need to play this card, especially since you're only getting that -1 off once, and because it's a blocker, so you're most likely going to block with it, or it's going to get taken out. It has a relatively low cost and low power, so it should be pretty easy to remove. So I'm not a fan. Very good art, mediocre effect. I feel like it's probably staying in a binder or a box. Next up, Charlotte Brulee, yellow character, 3 cost, 3k power, Big Mom Pirates, 2k counter. Trigger, look at the top card of your or your opponent's life and put it back on the top or bottom of the life pile. Then add this card to your hand. Yellow is going to have really crazy triggers, and as always, What a fun trigger with a card that goes to your hand afterwards with 2k counter. So rude. The people that design yellow are just the rudest card designers, because all of their cards are just have so much potential. So being able to peek at the life and move it around is pretty great. Giving it 2k counter, I feel like, is overboard. It's a little rude. Yeah, I like it. It's a 2k counter with not much other like stuff, but it's an effect that you get on life that you could place there that you then get a 2k counter out of. So I have a feeling that this card gets played. It's really good in my opinion. So I can't imagine it not being played just with a decent trigger effect with a 2k counter. There could be better cards, and yellow is getting really diluted in a bunch of different directions. So it could be that the 2k counters you play now or the triggers you play now are just too focused, and this card doesn't need to be played. But I feel like people played the crap out of Katakuri because of that advantage of knowing what's in your life. So, and it was just a good leader. Could be completely unnecessary to consider it, but yeah, I like this card. I think it's gonna see some play. Moving on. Onami, purple character, 4 cost 2k power, Straw Hat Crew, 1k counter, blocker. On play, if you have 8 or more Dawn on your field, trash 1 card from your hand, then draw 2 cards. Okay. Again, it's a 4 cost that relies on there being 8 Dawn on the board, which sucks. Again, that sucks. I wish that it was a 4 cost that said 6 or more Dawn or something, so that it wasn't a card that you had to wait till potentially turn 4 to play when it is a 2 cost. It's a turn 2 card. And again, ramp is good, blah blah blah. But the effect in itself, if you're playing this at the end of the game, trash a card that doesn't have counter, that is not relevant to this part of the game anymore, and draw 2 new cards is great. Adding blocker is good. Same things with all the other cards that we talk about. Low cost, low power, easily removed. Decent card in my opinion. On play effects, perfect. It is fast and it is ready to go right now, as long as you have 8 down on the board. I hate that for us in general. Moving on. Smoker, black character, 6 cost, 8k power, navy. On play, you may trash 1 black navy type card from your hand. Up to 2 of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters cannot attack during your opponent's next turn. Okay. Really like this art, by the way. They made Smoker look like he was a baby. This is Teen Smoker being able to stop 2 of your opponent's cards from attacking. I love it. I think this is probably one of the better black cards that we've seen in the starter decks. It's restricted to black navy only in the sense that you have to have that card to ditch. But that effect I feel like is really good. For a 6 cost, I feel like that's really good. It has the 8k power. This card has the ability to stay up and stay relevant. It gets its effect stopping 2 attacks the next turn. Potentially drawing attacks away from leader as well when it ends up being rested. So this is, I feel like, a great card, and it's a common, which is fantastic. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Being able to run this card, I feel like black gets a very good counter meta style of play here. Being able to lock down 2 cards is fantastic. Moving on to the back half of the episode, we are running through these last few cards because you already know what they do. You've seen them before, and they're just reprints and alt art versions. So starter deck 11 cards, starter deck 11 cards, starter deck 11 cards. We'll go over their names in a second. But as we saw in the listing for the decks, the green deck comes with promos, which is really cool because in North America, these cards really didn't get their time to shine. They were in like one event, and I remember them not being printed very, like there wasn't a lot that were given out to stores. So being able to get these guys now in a starter deck is going to be great. To be fair, what I've seen on the internet, they're not very expensive anyways. But basically, everything but the Luffy has been revealed. I would imagine that the Luffy here also comes out. This is the Uta battle deck battle that happened back in February. So this is the English. These cards aren't in the card list for English, so I figured I'd show you guys the release of these guys. So all of these guys are coming in this new starter deck, which is quite exciting. If you don't have them, you get a chance of picking them up with different arts on them. And I would imagine that this last Luffy will make its way there as well. But yeah, everything that came in this little like promo pack is also coming in the starter deck, which is great. It also makes that Uta starter deck so bad. It just makes the, I think, starter deck 11 even worse, because all you need to do is pick up the leader up to this point and then get some of these guys. But now the leader's getting reprinted with all of her support, so starter deck 11 is really irrelevant and kind of just a waste. So if you're wanting to play Uta, you could pick up the singles now if you want to play it now, or you could wait until this deck comes out, probably 3 to 6 months from now, and play it then. You can always play something else right now. But yeah, I think that's nice that they're reprinting those so that more people have access to them and can play Green Uta. All you would have to do is pick up the film stuff. If you already have started deck 11, you just need to pick up like Nami's or whatever. But yeah, I think that's a good thing. I like that they're reprinting them. I hate that they really started deck 11 with partial support and a lot of reprints, which it could have been this deck back then. But yeah, I think this week was a good week for card reveals. We got a lot of knowledge that the reprints were coming for Uta, which is great. Now we can move on to the other colors and really focus in on new cards, I hope, and finish out the starter deck reveal so we can move on to the next booster pack that should be starting its reveal directly after this because it's coming soon. But with that being said, that's all of our card reveals for this week. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe. Until next time, peace.